Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Saturday, March 8th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and hope you're enjoying your Saturday hockey hangover of sorts. Hangover from the NHL trade deadline, which has come and gone. The rosters that you see now in front of you are the rosters that these teams will go to war with, take with them to battle in the Stanley Cup playoffs in a month and a half from now. And now the push for the playoffs and the drive for the playoffs, the home stretch really begins now with the trade deadline, a thing of the past. We've got a big Saturday slate, 10 games on tap, including a trifecta of matinee games. Just briefly, we will look back. We don't really have much more to say about the trade deadline because when we left the air yesterday with you guys, pretty much all the trades were in, and there was nothing really of significance that was announced as a trade after we stopped doing the show yesterday to really talk about. So we hit on all the major trades. We gave our thoughts on the Mikko Rantanen to Dallas, what Colorado did, what Buffalo and Ottawa did with their trade. Obviously, the Leafs were busy. We gave a lot of opinions on the major trades that took place yesterday. So if you missed it or didn't hear it, make sure you tune into the Friday Ice Guys show, and you'll be able to get our thoughts and opinions on all the major trades that went down on NHL trade deadline day. As far as Friday, look, I kind of went lighter in units, but it was a profitable Friday, so no complaints, even though it was a little bit of a lighter as far as a betting day just because of all the trade activity. Detroit and Washington, wow, couldn't have asked for a better start for the Detroit Red Wings and couldn't have asked for a worse finish for the Detroit Red Wings. It was, when that fucking thing fell apart for them in the third period, it really was a thing to behold, how badly it fell apart for the Detroit Red Wings. 2-1 lead in the first period, scoreless second period, and then right away, the worst thing that could have happened, and it's really, got Detroit in a bad way, giving up that early first minute of the third period shorthanded goal to Alexei Protas, which tied the game at 2, and that's when the game just came right off the tracks for the Detroit Red Wings. It was pretty hideous to watch. Jacob Chychrun with a blast through traffic beats Talbot 3-2. Protas again, another shot beating Talbot. Talbot got to have a save at some point there. I can't fault him completely for all those goals that he gave up, but boy, oh boy, I need goalie's got to stop the bleeding when the game starts to spiral against a team. Cam Talbot couldn't shut off the deluge, and that has been the problem with him at times. And again, it was a bit of a problem last night. Now, they did not help him out defensively, but at the same time, that short-handed goal that Protas scored that really got the ball rolling for Washington in the third period, he's off his ankle there. He gave up way too much of the far side, the top corner, and you just can't do that. You can't be off the angle that much. And again, and by the way, I said this about Protas. No one's talking about how great a season this guy's having. 25 goals now for the Washington Capitals, 2 big third period goals for him last night. And if it was bad enough, they gave up a shorthanded goal to Protas. They gave up another one to Tom Wilson. And that pretty much put the game away. A tough beat for Detroit team total because I did have that. But I did have the over by Fecta. And that came through. Alex's best bet on Friday for the show was Detroit, Washington over 1.5 first period. So that came through. But Detroit's in a kind of a rough way right now, in a funk, and they've got to stop the bleeding because there's a lot of teams that they are in the rears of, and that's a really tough loss for them. Now, no shame in it because Washington, we know, is a great team, but still, when you have a third period like that with the lead, I don't care who you're playing, it's a bad look, and Detroit's going to have to find a way to shake it off and bounce back. Talk about bad looks, man. The New Jersey Devils looked listless last night. Absolutely friggin' listless in that hockey game, against the Winnipeg Jets. And I think when you look at, I don't know why football was on the mind there, but Winnipeg with the 6-1 win against New Jersey, it just turned it into a run.
Off playing football last night.
No doubt. So yeah, it was not a good performance from the Devils. They only mustered 23 shots on goal. Hellebuck was solid, but like I said, They defended well. And again, this is going to be the problem for New Jersey without Jack Hughes. We know the numbers. We know the percentages of how much of the offense for New Jersey is driven by Jack Hughes. And without him, they're not generating anywhere close to as much. They're not scoring as much. And then to make matters worse, you already miss a lot of offense with Jack Hughes. Dougie Hamilton, one of your best power play guys, one of your best puck-moving defensemen, offensive-minded defensemen, and certainly that's a problem. Siegenthaler's one of their better shutdown defensemen as well. He's out. Just too many key injuries right now for New Jersey, and it looks like it's chipping away at their morale. It's chipping away at their spirit. It's chipping away at their emotional level right now because that was listless. Once they got behind, it didn't really feel like there was much fight back or battle in that New Jersey team, and that's got to be alarming. Simon Nemec, by the way, thought it was Christmas in March. He gave the captain of the Winnipeg Jets, Adam Lowry, the late Christmas gift of the easiest goal he's ever going to score. It was just a horrific, horrific turnover and giveaway by him. And Winnipeg, after 3 straight losses, they've now bounced back to win 2 in a row, and they pound the Devils 6-1. How about the Chicago Blackhawks? 2-0 in the Spencer Knight era. 2 starts for Spencer Knight, 2 wins for the Chicago Blackhawks. 4-3. Yes, Utah comes back. That was a big point, though, for Utah, even though they lost in overtime. But Chicago, and such a nice relief to see Connor Bedard get the overtime winner. You know, he's obviously been feeling it a little bit lately, not quite producing like we know he's capable of. So to see him get the overtime winner was great in that game. Again, a game where it could have been a lot worse as far as Utah offensively is concerned, if not for Spencer Knight, who had to face over 30. Get used to it, Spencer. Over 30 shots faced last night against Utah. He made an unbelievable save at the goal line with his glove early in that game last night. Another very fine performance from Spencer Knight and a 4-3 Chicago win. They're now 2-0 with Knight in between the pipes. My best bet hits with Vegas team total over 3.5. They shut out Pittsburgh 4-0. Could have been a lot worse if not for Alex Nedeljkovic. Vegas could have had 6 or 7, but they get the 4 I needed for the Vegas team total over. And the best bet on yesterday's show, Vancouver 3-1 against Minnesota. I was impressed with Vancouver. Solid win. You know, lots of shit going around. Who's going to be in? Who's going to be out? They dealt away Miller a couple weeks ago. Rumblings that Besser might be moved, but he's still in the fold. And that was kind of a nice rally the troops win for the Vancouver Canucks, 3-1 over the Minnesota Wild. Minnesota, look, they fought the good fight with no Kaprizov, no Brodin, and no Eric Sinek. They need those fucking guys back in the lineup. They can't go on much longer. I think Minnesota without those guys, you're starting to see, hey, yeah, we've won some games without them. We miss them. And it's starting to show. Only 1 goal last night in that game. And how about the under cashing? Yes, I said it. I think that's an under, 5.5. I'm not a big under guy, as you know, but when we recommend them, we like them. And that game did indeed stay under. And the last game of the night, Cam Fowler's return to Anaheim, 4-3 win for the St. Louis Blues. They remain red hot. They got a 2-point night for Fowler, and I sprinkled on over 1.5 points with Fowler, plus 950. I had an assist prop. The only thing we were missing was the bargain bin, Cam Fowler scoring, which unfortunately did not happen. But 4-3 St. Louis. Anaheim had tied the game, it looked like, but the puck went in after time expired. So the Blues hang on for a 4-3 win over the Anaheim Ducks, and they just continue to roar. I was interested to see how they would come out, what the psyche would be, because they kind of stood pat at the deadline yesterday. Not much movement from Doug Armstrong, but very solid win, St. Louis, in their first game coming out of the trade deadline. And for Anaheim, every game is important to them because they're still lurking in the playoff race too. So it's a very big win for the Blues. And again, playing some really good hockey ever since the Four Nations break concluded. Alex, your thoughts on what we saw on Friday night?
Yeah, so 3 takeaways that I had from last night. Of course, number 1 being the Hawks game. Easily, you can say the Blackhawks are one of the winners of the trade deadline, right? Because look at what happened just in last night's game. The player you got in the trade, Spencer Knight, spectacular once again in a victory. But the guys you didn't move, Ryan Donato, getting into a fight, getting involved in the play, he was just noticeable on the ice all night long. And then you have Ilya Mikheyev, another guy who was kind of rumored to be possibly moved, scoring another goal. He started to build on some confidence. So that was just a fun game to watch if you're a Hawks fan. And there were some great live opportunities. I was actually able to grab a little bit of money line. I got plus 110, plus 115 as they were able to come back in that game. And so, like I said, getting into overtime and Connor Bedard, like I said, of all people, to get the game winner, finally get the monkey off his back. Looked like he had a goal earlier in the game that led to that rebound. It was a goal that looked like it hit right off the crossbar, but it seemed like everybody in the rink, even the John Whiteman and Troy Murray, both thought that the goal went in. So for him to get his confidence back, and now that team's getting Joe Valeno, it'll be fun to watch, and maybe first period overs, full game overs might get back into play. Detroit, I put it in the chat, CT. You can't trust Cameron Talbot. You just simply can't. There's a reason why they went out and got Peter Mrazek yesterday. I've been saying it for the last several weeks. If Detroit wants to do anything in this race and actually get into the postseason, they have to upgrade their goaltending. So now we'll see what Mrazek can do, but that is a very tough loss for them. And yet another good win for Washington, right? That's what's so dangerous about them. They get down 2-0. They didn't sulk. They didn't start, skating slower. They kept the fight. They kept the pace going. And once the floodgates open, like you said with Talbot, they just kept piling it on. That's what's so dangerous. And we didn't see anything from Ovechkin last night. 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and longer, when you have a game where you're down 2-0 to watch the Capitals and Ovechkin's doing nothing, the rest of the team's not doing anything. That's a huge difference now. Like you mentioned, Alexei Protas, stepping up. Tom Wilson, being back at the top of his game. Those guys, when they can chip in and number 8 can kind of take a night off, that's a good sign. But they'll need number 8, of course, to chip in more often moving forward. And then the New Jersey Devils. I got a little strategy that I'm thinking about doing involving tomorrow. Not going to bet this now because they play tomorrow against Philly, who we know sucks. They win tomorrow against Philly. That's going to be my buy point to bet on New Jersey to miss the playoffs. Because you look at the rest of the schedule after that, they have Columbus at home, Edmonton at home, go on the road for Pittsburgh, go on the road against Columbus. So that's, two games against a team that's trying to claw their way into the playoffs. I think this could be a spot where maybe we see them kind of drop out of favor. I saw Turnsey in the chat. He got plus 900 on them in this playoff, so he was ahead of the curve. But right now, I see him plus 540, and that might be able to go up a little bit if they can get a win tomorrow, and then we can strike on them to miss the playoffs.
I think that's not bad as far as timing is concerned. Makes sense because that is a winnable game tomorrow against Philadelphia. Because as we'll get to in a moment, Philadelphia, has some issues at the moment, certainly with keeping the puck out of the net the last couple games. And New Jersey's certainly that's their winnable game right there. That's all. They're not saying they will, but that certainly is a winnable game because it's going to get a lot harder again right after that. So wait it out, see if they lose or if they beat Philly. And then maybe jump in on them to miss the playoffs because there's a lot of people I know that took New Jersey to miss the playoffs. Yeah, there's some people at plus 900. Jonathan's got plus 800. So yeah, definitely a price that is dropping the more the Devils' struggles continue for sure. All right, let's get into Saturday. It's a big slate, 3 games in the afternoon. The first 2 are coming up starting in about 15 minutes. We go to Canada's nation's capital, New York Rangers, Ottawa Senators. We've got Ottawa minus 130, home favorites in this game. The total sitting at 5.5, pretty much across the board. It was 6. It's dropped down, though, to 5.5 here in a lot of books leading up to puck drop. So what we can tell you about the Sens and Rangers, both teams were involved in some trade deadline activity. By the way, it's Igor Shesterkin and Linus Ullmark confirmed as your starting goaltending matchup here. Not a surprise there. But it looks like all the participants or all the new acquisitions, if you will, are going to be in the lineup here for their respective teams. For the New York Rangers, you look at their lineup. They're going to have Carson Soucy, who they got from the Vancouver Canucks, on defense, paired with Zach Jones, it looks like, in this game this afternoon. So he's already there, accounted for, and will be in the lineup. And for the Ottawa Senators, Dylan Cousins, who, of course, they got, and Dennis Gilbert, for that matter, who they got from the Buffalo Sabres, both of them in the lineup. Dennis Gilbert's a defenseman, but from the current lineup configuration, he's playing, and they might convert him to forward today and put him on the 4th line. At least that's what I'm seeing right now. Maybe that's because there's a certain Matt Rempe on the other side, and Dennis Gilbert can chuck those mitts. And do we see a Dennis Gilbert, Matt Rempe today? Is that on the fight card here potentially in Rangers and Senators? Something to watch for here during this game. But yeah, Dennis Gilbert is in the lineup. I think he's playing with Gaudette and Matthew Highmore on the 4th line. And like I said, the new addition, the big new addition, Dylan Cousins, is going to be in the lineup right now. Travis Green has him centering the second line with Drake Batherson and David Perron, still Brady Tkachuk, Timmy Stützle, Claude Giroux on the top line. John Massey saying, need 2 points, don't need any sideshow antics. You're taking all the fun out of this. Gilbert and Rempe still might happen, in my opinion. Alex made a compelling case yesterday, and he mentioned it on the show yesterday for the New York Rangers. Ottawa looked a little bit emotionally just stunned, heartbroken, crushed, if you will, that Josh Norris got moved to the Buffalo Sabres. And Brady Tkachuk, emotional, near tears, talking about the loss of Josh Norris. And maybe it's going to take a game or two to get that out of their system. So Alex kind of liking the Rangers here. Maybe Ottawa needs to, shake it off for a day or two, coming to grips with the fact, because he was beloved apparently with the team, Josh Norris. I could see that definitely as far as Rangers goes. Money line and also a split maybe with the team total. I'll probably get in on a small bet there with that. I did actually. A small over by Fecta too, just because it's an early game. There's a lot of new faces. A lot of new faces sometimes means the puck is just, things are just a little bit sloppy, a little bit. It's more so on the defensive side, communication on the ice. Sometimes that takes time when you're putting in some new players into the lineup. That could happen here. And more so than anything, the total's fallen to 5.5. Ottawa's 9-1 to the over in their last 10 games. I mean, they have been scoring. Scoring's not been an issue. They've been able to put the puck in the net, but their defensive game hasn't been nearly as stout in recent games. So 9-1 to the over for the Ottawa Senators in their last 10 games. So now that it's fallen to 5.5, I'm in with over 5.5 here in this one. Alex, what do you think here? New York Rangers, Ottawa Senators.
Yeah, like you said, I bet Rangers yesterday. I got plus 116, and it was after hearing the comments from Tkachuk and Olmark. It's like their dog had wandered away. It was just kind of almost a bit just, like I said, unnerving to see them that upset about Josh Norris leaving. And I get it, like I said, good friends and what have you, but like I said, it's business. Maybe they don't shake it off right away. So maybe look at also some Rangers first goal props. Rangers to score. Maybe I'll wait. Like I said, it'll be on in a few minutes. So that might be something I jump in on live, but I am on Rangers money line.
All right, there you go. And I did sprinkle on Dylan Cousins, the new guy, to find the back of the net. Yeah, that's the only counter to that, John, is Rangers 4 straight unders. And Shesterkin's been very good of late as well. So, like I said, it's not a big bet here for me with the over in this game. But, again, I'm just riding the 9-1 with the Ottawa Senators here as of late. All right, Seattle and Philadelphia. Next up, this is also 12:30 p.m. Eastern. In about 10 minutes, this starts. This is your ABC game, first of the doubleheader. My condolences to with shoes.
Sorry, America.
Kevin Weeks or PK is. I think it's Kevin Weeks actually with him today. But whoever is with Bob, sorry you get this game. Philadelphia minus 150, home favorite, 6 the total. The return of Philip Grubauer. Gruby, he's back here for the Seattle Kraken. Remember him? Stunk the joint up in the first month or two of the season, buried in the American Hockey League, and now here he is back with the Seattle Kraken and starting here for the Seattle Kraken in this game. Samuel Ersson in net for the Philadelphia Flyers. And I like Ersson, but I have not liked what I've seen from him in the last couple of starts. He gets yanked against Calgary, gives up 4 in the loss to the Winnipeg Jets the other night. So he's given up 10 goals in his last 2 starts combined. Seattle, they've kind of fallen apart defensively. Seattle in the last 4 losses, they have given up a combined 20 goals. That's ugly in their last 4 losses. Even in the win against Vancouver, who are not an offensive juggernaut, they gave up 3 goals. So they've given up 3 goals or more in 5 straight games. They've played 4 straight overs. This is an over 5.5 for me, plain and simple. Don't trust Grubauer. He's had a rough season. Philadelphia, I would say this about Philadelphia. Their defense has taken a hit 3 of the last 4 games. The offense has still shown some capabilities. Winnipeg, look, Winnipeg, a good defensive team. Seattle's not defending very well at all. They've been lit up on the penalty kill lately and just, giving up too many goals, too many great prime chances. This should be an opportunity on home ice for Philadelphia to get their offense back on track after that Winnipeg loss. Let's not forget they scored 3 against Calgary at home, 6 against Pittsburgh at home, 6 against Edmonton coming out of the 4 Nations break at home. So definitely an over 5.5 for me. It's actually, I got 5.5 with juice. Shop around. It's 6 at most books, but you can find 5.5 with juice. It's 5.5 minus 125 at Bet Rivers, 5.5 minus 130 at DraftKings. So make sure you shop around for the 5.5. I'd much rather have the 5.5 right now than the 6. And yes, as Jonathan's mentioned throughout recent times, we've talked Seattle on this show. They've been money in the bank as far as overs after a loss, 21-6 to the over after a loss for the Seattle Kraken. Good point by Mohammed, which we'll mention with the Montreal game there. I see that. Brendan Gallagher's mom passed away yesterday, probably won't be in the lineup. Obviously not. That's unfortunate. Condolences to the Gallagher family and to Brendan Gallagher. Obviously, tough day when you lose a family member, no question. Alex, your thoughts here, Seattle, Philadelphia.
Well, like I said, the Seattle trend is hot, 21-6 off the loss, but God, Philly. And, we really have to count on them to chip in with some goals as well. So I'm waiting for this one live at 5.5 minus 130. We could wait a few minutes. So I'll mention it here live. Once this crosses in the plus money, get plus 110. And I might even grab a little plus money with the first period over as well. So over by factor in game in about a few minutes.
Yeah, Shane Wright, goal assist. I like it. Definitely like that. I mean, he's been really good lately. We've been taking the Shane Wright props for quite a bit lately. I'll throw out a couple for the Flyers. Owen Tippett, Matvei Mishkov's on a roll. You can't, Noah Cates, there's value. I agree with Rich H because he's on the top line. Noah Cates, Matvei Mishkov, Owen Tippett, if you're going to look at Flyer props. Konechny's always can score too, and he's probably going to have to do a little bit more now offensively as well. But like I said, if you're looking for the value on the Philly side, Cates is good value. Mishkov's playing well. Those are some good ones to look at. But Shane Wright's my favorite goal player prop value of either of these teams going into this game with obviously how well he's played. All right, this next game is at 3 p.m. Eastern time. This is the second game of the ABC Hockey Saturday doubleheader, Boston and Tampa Bay. Boston-Tampa Bay is going to be a hell of a game, back in October. But obviously now with the Bruins waving the white flag, the sell-off, looking to the future, it's taken some shine off this game. Still is the A team, though. Sean McDonough, Ray Ferraro, Emily Kaplan will be there for this one. We've got Tampa Bay minus 300, home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. So our very own Jimmy Murphy knows the Bruins well inside and out, has covered them for, darn near 20 years now. Probably a little more than that now, actually. I think 2002 is when he always told me is when he started for the covering the Boston Bruins. So that would be 23 years ago. And the one thing he said in our group chat is their heads are going to be in the clouds. Their heads are spinning from everything that's happened. Think about all the players that they just jettisoned out of here in the last 24 hours. Don Sweeney, Cam Neely, and the brass. When you're talking about your captain, Brad Marchand, heart and soul player, Trent Frederick, beloved in the dressing room for the way he played, that physical, tough style, take no shit from anybody. You moved him out. Charlie Coyle, a long time a Boston Bruin. He's now gone. One of your pillars on the blue line, an excellent penalty killer, that big, long reach, the big stick, the long reach, the height, the size, the physicality, penalty killing. Brandon Carlo, he's gone now. I mean, they're a gutted hockey team right now, the Boston Bruins. There's no question. And like I said, now this price is obviously not what it would have been, say, before the Friday deadline with Tampa, this big a favorite. Like they're almost minus 300 here in this game this afternoon against the Boston Bruins. That's how big a favorite they are. They are minus 300 in some spots. But I think there's a brutal spot. I think this is going to be, you're right, head spinning. What's the emotional level in that dressing room? A team that probably is resigned to the fact that they're not making the play. They're still in the race, but with obviously the roster they've got right now, it's going to be difficult, to win games on a consistent level. You look at what the Bruins have at the moment. They're putting out a lineup today with, Morgan Geekie, Zaka, Pasternak still, but then the fall off is quite amazing. Cole Koepke, Mark Kastelik, Elias Lindholm is slated to be maybe their second line today. And I like Mark Kastelik, tough as fuck, but he's not a second line player. I'm sorry. It's just not. I mean, it's just not. Cole Koepke isn't either. And then on the third line, you've got Beecher, the new addition, Middlestat, Vinny. I would think Middlestat probably will be the third center. They should boot Lindholm down to the third line center and put Middlestat the second line center. But Beecher, Middlestat, Lettieri. They did get Jakub Lauko back, and Marat Husnadinov from Minnesota. They're likely to be on the fourth line with Patrick Brown. And like I said, this blue line, Zadorov's had a terrible year. Peak, I don't mind him. Lowry, Yoki Haru they get from the Buffalo Sabres, and then Parker Wotherspoon and Ian Mitchell. The only thing I can say about the blue line is at least they got guys that have played at the NHL, like Parker Wotherspoon and Ian Mitchell. These are the guys they always put in there when they're shorthanded. At least they played quite a bit, no doubt. But they're still without Lindholm, still without McAvoy. They trade away their best penalty killer, or one of their best penalty killers, Brandon Carlo. It's just a skeleton roster. That's the term, skeleton roster right now for the Boston Bruins. And meanwhile, Tampa Bay, they didn't even play their A game against Buffalo. They were very sloppy. They made mistakes. They were a bit lackadaisical for much of that game, and yet they still won, which tells you how well they've been playing, certainly since the Four Nations break. Their only loss was to the Florida Panthers by a score of 2-1. This is one of those games where it's not unload on Tampa Bay. It's just sprinkle across multiple forms of betting Tampa Bay for me, and especially early. I'm going to go to BetMGM, and I'm targeting over 1 plus 105, over 1.5 plus 200. Tampa Bay team total first period. I like both of those looks. I like both of those prices. Jump on Boston early. Over 1 plus 105, over 1.5 plus 200. First period team total looks for the Tampa Bay Lightning. First period over just in general makes sense, over 1.5. More so, and of course, I'm going to take Tampa team total over 3.5 as well, full game, which is around minus 130. But really like the early looks, because I think that first 20 minutes, that's kind of when Boston, whoa, we're hitting the ice. Where's Marchand? Where's Carlo? Where's Coyle? Where's all these great veterans? Where's all these great leaders? Where's all these great, tremendous players that have carried this team for all these years? Oh, yeah, they're gone. I don't see them. They're not here anymore. So that's why I definitely think we could see a Boston in a real rough spot early. John, I know that the system says bet Boston in this first period, and I looked at that, and I considered it. But I think the spot cancels that out. For one day, I don't think I can go to that Boston scoring in the first period, because I just think they're not going to be in it mentally or spiritually early. Maybe they get in. Maybe something happens during the course of the game where there's a fight or there's a questionable hit, and maybe it gets the emotion level up for Boston. But I think it's going to take some time. Yeah, I can't do the Boston goal in the first period, even though the system says to take it, because now Tampa's hit minus 300 as a favorite. Not for today, just because I think this is a very, very trying time for this franchise and for the players that are still there, and I think they may play like it this afternoon. Alex, what do you think here, Boston, Tampa Bay?
Go back to March 9th, 2023. The Boston Bruins lost 3-2 to the Edmonton Oilers. It ended a 10-game win streak, and their record was at that time 49-9-5. As they were on their way to setting the best record in NHL history. And then Jim Montgomery decides to play Linus Ullmark, who had an injury. And they blow a 3-1 series lead, lose in 7 to the Florida Panthers. And shit hasn't been the same since. And here we are now talking about a half Providence Bruins, half Boston Bruins lineup on March 8th playing against the Tampa Bay Lightning. It's just kind of shocking how things have changed in such a rapid time. Give me Tampa Bay. First period puck line, Tampa Bay correct score 2-0 in the first period. I got that at plus 800.
Aaron's on that too, and he's a Bruins fan, and he's on that. Yeah.
And on Tampa Bay, like you said, the BetMGM first period over 1, over 1.5 as well. I think this game is going to be ugly early, and it can get out of hand. So I'm more likely to be adding on a lot of stuff live involving Tampa Bay as well.
Yeah, prop-wise, I like Nick Paul and Oliver Bjorkstrand. Nick Paul is a streaky player. He scored the other night against Buffalo. I think he has a chance to score again. And Bjorkstrand scored in his debut with the Lightning against the Sabres. And oftentimes I find when the new player with the new team scores in the first game with the team, it sometimes starts a heater, triggers a heater in the short term with that new team. So I'm hoping he can carry it over to today, Oliver Bjorkstrand. And you get, once again, a very good price there with him. You get a great price, obviously, over plus 325 with Nick Paul to score a goal. But you also get with Oliver Bjorkstrand, really nice price, plus 360. I'd even sprinkle on, and I'm going to be a man because I've been meaning to take this guy, and he's been a little more offensively productive than you thought. Mitchell Chaffee. You can get him around plus 700 for the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's worth a dabble, too, in my opinion. Mitchell Chaffee for the Tampa Bay Lightning. in that plus 700 range. As far as if I'm going to take anyone for Boston, it's Morgan Geekie. He'd be the only one I would take for Boston. And he has been obviously one of their better scoring forwards of late. All right, the rest of the games are, and we should see Swayman and Vasilevsky in net. That isn't confirmed, though, as of yet. All right, next up, we've got Buffalo and Florida. Oh, it's the debut of Vitek Vanacek for the Florida Panthers with his new team. Florida minus 260, home favorites, 6 the total. Paul Maurice probably figures we got to put him in at some point, and I guess Buffalo is the perfect team to put him in against. We'll see how he fares here. Although Buffalo just came off a game where they scored 5 against Andre Vasilevsky and the Tampa Bay Lightning. So they're going to need Vitek Vanacek to be on his game here when they take on the Buffalo Sabres. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen is in net here for Buffalo. That's also confirmed right now. As far as the lineup situation goes for this game, obviously, a lot of players moved in and out. Juraj Kulich, by the way, is out due to injury. I do want to point that out. Jack Quinn also on the injury or illness list, I should say, for him. Game time decision for Buffalo. Obviously, the new addition is Josh Norris, and as of right now, top line center alongside JJ Paterka, as well as Tage Thompson on that top line for the Buffalo State. That's got the chance to be one hell of a top line, because Josh Norris is a dynamic offensive player. It's probably, I actually like that Buffalo was able to get him in a deal, quite honestly, with the Ottawa Senators. That he was able to, Kevin Adams was able to bring him in because he was a really good offensive center. Now, here's the risk with Josh Norris, and it's the obvious thing you're worried about. Health. Health has been an issue for Josh Norris. There's been one injury after another for him. He's already missed time this year due to injuries. But Josh Norris, when healthy, is a dynamic offensive center, and he's going to really help this Sabres team as far as that top line is concerned moving forward. Like I said, Buffalo's effort was good. I don't know if it was Buffalo's effort was great against Tampa in the loss after the response to the Lindy Ruff saying there were passengers against San Jose, or if that was more Tampa Bay just kind of falling asleep. But the bottom line is with Buffalo, since the Four Nations break, they won their first 2 games 8-2 and 3-2. But during this 5-game losing streak, they have given up 4 goals or more in every game. 25 goals in the last 5 games combined. So that's an average of 5 goals allowed per game here for the Buffalo Sabres going into this game. So that's not what you want to see. I'm going over by Fecta. I'm going both teams over their team total. I'm not buying Vanacek's going to be a brick wall in his first game. I got to see it. Now, he does have a better defensive team, much better in front of him, no question. And Florida is playing good D. But Vanacek, we'll see. I still think Buffalo, one thing about Buffalo, they can't keep the puck out of their net. But the Buffalo Sabres, have been able to score 3 goals or more in 4 of the 7 games they've played since the break. And I don't trust Mr. Vanacek. So I'm going to go with both team totals. The over 2.5 at plus money for Buffalo, the over 3.5 at minus 130 for Florida, and the first period full game over here with Sabres and Panthers. And by the way, overs in the last 2 meetings between these 2 teams as well. Alex, what do you think here? Sabres, Panthers.
I'm going to go over trifecta with this. I got added that both teams to score. That's a plus 174 in the first period, with first period over 1.5, full game over 6 minus 120. And then I'm going to BetMGM. I'm going to take a shot with the little parlay. Florida and over 5.5. You get that plus 120. So that's my way of, like I said, not laying these crazy prices with Florida just by themselves. So tied in with the over. So over 5.5 tied with Florida, plus 120. And then we're going over 6 minus 120, over 1.5, and first period, both teams score.
Someone getting a lineup bump potentially for Buffalo, and it's worth pointing out, because he scored against Tampa Bay. Peyton Krebs. Peyton Krebs' second line, it looks like, with Alex Tuck, and we'll have to see who's with them on the left side because Jordan Greenway was slated to be there, but he may not play because of an injury tonight. So, but Peyton Krebs, there's definitely value because he's in a top 6 role now, plus 1,200. I mean, just put a couple bucks on that, 12-1, plus 1,200, him to score a goal for the Buffalo Sabres. I like Samoskevich for them. He's my favorite goal prop right now. He is getting more opportunity for this Panthers team, more ice time, plus 325 for him to score. Samoskevich for me, definitely interested there as far as prop goes on the Panthers side. All right, Toronto and Colorado. This is bar none, by the way, tonight. And Hockey Night in Canada makes their schedule before the season starts. They just fell ass backwards into the best fucking doubleheader anyone could ask for tonight on Hockey Night in Canada. Well, obviously, some of the country sees Montreal, Calgary. Some networks will have that, which is a pretty solid game too. But the main doubleheader, the majority of the main network, Sportsnet, shows this game, Toronto, Colorado, and then the main Sportsnet's got Dallas and Edmonton as the second game of the doubleheader. Doesn't get much better than that. That's a hell of a doubleheader, and it's got to be the best doubleheader on paper I've seen them have this year, Hockey Night in Canada. But the Leafs and the Avs, we've got Colorado minus 150, home favorites here, 6.5 the total in this one. The Leafs, obviously, I'd expect a hell of an effort from Toronto. Now, is it enough to win is another question, but this team desperately needed a break. They needed a blow. They needed a time to catch their breath. They had not had a situation with 2 days of rest between games in a very long time until that loss to Vegas 5-2. They finally had a couple days of rest. It's going to help them, certainly, I think. And I think they're going to play one hell of a game here tonight. And they've actually played Colorado very tough here in Denver. In fact, not just tough, they've actually had the better of it here in Denver. The last 5 meetings here at Ball Arena, Toronto 4-1 versus Colorado. And the only Avs win in that span was an overtime 5-4 win January 2022. So this has become a place where Toronto's had a lot of success. This is one of those spots where, Colorado's rolling. They're going to be debuting all their brand new weapons. Brock Nelson, Charlie Coyle, both of them expected to make their Colorado Avalanche debut in this game tonight for the Avs. It looks like Nelson will be with Big Val Nichushkin and Jonathan Drouin. McKinnon, Natchez, and Lehkonen stays intact. So, man, that's very impressive. Where does Charlie Coyle fit in? Probably the third line, most likely. So, like I said, down the middle is pretty damn impressive. We know the blue line's great. The question is going to be, moving forward, Blackwood and Wedgwood being the goalies that can take you to the promised land. Although Blackwood, to this point, to his credit, has looked the part. He's had a couple stumbles here and there, but more often than not, he's been very good, and he's gotten the job done here for Colorado. On the Toronto side of things, from all indications, they're going to have their new guys in the lineup too. We're expected to see Scott Lawton in the lineup tonight, as they got him from Philadelphia to fill the third-line center role that the Leafs were looking to address. And, of course, Brandon Carlo from the Boston Bruins to pair. They needed a right-shot defenseman next to Morgan Riley. They were adamant to look for one, and they got one now with Brandon Carlo. Both of them are expected to be in the lineup for the Leafs. We don't have, I believe, let me just see. I think we don't have goalie confirmations yet, but I think it is going to be Stolarz and Blackwood. This was going to be Anthony Stolarz's start from the beginning of the road trip. He did replace Joe Woll in the Vegas game, but I think he was going to get this game. They were going back and forth, so I think it will be Stolarz for Toronto, and, of course, Mackenzie Blackwood here for Colorado. I'm taking a shot with the Leafs here. Good history in this building, plus 130. It's not easy to fade Colorado, and obviously they're going to be excited. The building will be excited. They got Nelson and Coyle, their new people in the lineup, but kind of feels like a circle. And Toronto always plays their best against the best. They really, like, the absolute best teams. You always get their best against the Tampas, and the Floridas, and Colorado. Like I said, they're 4-1 in this building in the last 5 meetings, the Leafs, traveling to Denver. I think there's value on them. They finally got 2 days off. They got through some good hard practices in the last couple days. I think it's a nice little spot here to take Toronto plus 130. And Stolarz in net, who right now has separated himself from Joseph Woll because Woll's hit a bit of a speed bump here the last couple starts. So Toronto plus 130. And we simply have to, because I think this could be a defensive game, but I'll be damned if I'm passing up the opportunity to bet over 6.5 when 13 straight games between the Avs and the Leafs here in Denver in the Mile High City have gone over the total. 13 straight overs in Denver between the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Colorado Avalanche. So for that reason, I'm on over 6.5 as well. Alex, what do you think here? Toronto, Colorado.
Yeah, that's a strong enough trend where you can lay 6 even at minus 140 at BetMGM. I might actually look at that because there's not a whole lot that I like out of this game. So I do like that over, and I like the draw. I grabbed the draw earlier at 335, but with that trend, yeah, I'll lay the extra juice there. Go over 6 minus 140.
The one Colorado victory over Toronto in Denver in the last 5 meetings was an overtime game, an overtime win. So, yeah, I think the draw could be live here as well in this one. Yeah, go ahead.
I'll say it's a great draw season candidate too, because you have pieces coming in with Colorado. Might take some time for them to gel. Like I said, this could be a game where if it's back and forth early, then at some point it tends to slow down a little bit late. Like I said, these two teams, different conferences, different playoff races, not in each other's way. So this fits the criteria for draw season.
No doubt. Definitely a good draw candidate here in this one. As far as props go, when I look at Colorado, Lehkonen, Drouin is heating up. I don't mind those looks. I mean, with the thing with the new guys is Brock Nelson. I'm going to wait. Like with Bjorkstrand, I didn't bet Bjorkstrand the other night, but he scored. And now I'm going to bet Bjorkstrand. I want to see them score and get that chemistry with their new team before I bet them to produce. That's the way I approach it with the trade deadline acquisitions, with the players with their new team. Let me see them score first before I start betting them. And that's why I'm on Bjorkstrand today. He scored in his first game, and oftentimes you get that little bump, and it leads to a short-term bump in your production when you go to that new team. But like I said, definitely interesting. And like I said, as of now, Nelson and Coyle for Colorado, and Carlo and Lawton, the two new guys for Toronto. They're all expected to be in the lineup here. All right, Montreal and Calgary. We've got Calgary minus 135, home favorites, 6 the total, shaded to the under here in this game. You look at this matchup, and for Montreal, they just finished a 6-game road trip. Now back home, first game after that road trip, after a tough loss to Dallas. They played well enough to win, but they lose 3-2 in overtime. 1-4 now, the Flames in their last 5 games. That only W coming against the Philadelphia Flyers. So scuffling just a little bit, very long road trip, and only the 1 day of rest between the Dallas game to end that 6-game roadie and this return home. So tricky spot. Montreal, undefeated since the Four Nations break until Thursday night, where they lost 3-2 to the Edmonton Oilers in that game. We'll see now if they can bounce back. Their first loss now, and their first bit of adversity for this young Montreal bunch following the Four Nations break. Let's see if they can bounce back from it here in this game against Calgary. They have had good success against Calgary. They've won 3 straight. Actually, no, they haven't. Calgary's won 3 straight. But longer term, Montreal's won 5 of the last 8 meetings between these two teams. Calgary got them in overtime back in November in Montreal. 3-2 win for the Flames over the Habs. I'm not jumping ship on Montreal. Yeah, they lost their first game, and I've been betting them a lot since the break, since they got on this red-hot run. And, yeah, finally lost one the other day, but they were right there, and McDavid made one hell of a play to spring Bouchard in overtime for the game-winning goal. I think this is just a tough spot for Calgary here, and I know there's a good chance that we see Dustin Wolf in net. And by the way, it's confirmed that Jakub Dobiš is going to be in net tonight for the Montreal Canadiens. But as we've talked about with him, his best work has been on the road. He's actually it's been worse at home when he started at the Bell Center. When he's been on the road, he's been very, very good. His numbers are good overall. They're even better on the road. Jakub Dobiš for this Montreal team. Last time we saw him in net, he gave up 2 goals in a victory to the Buffalo Sabres. So I have no issues backing Montreal with Dobiš in net. So I like Montreal here, plus 115 in this spot. And I'm going to sprinkle on, this is a dog and draw. I'm going to also get in on the draw. Montreal has been a huge draw team. 3 of the last 4 games for them have gone past regulation. 2 of the last 3 for Calgary have gone past regulation. And the game in Montreal earlier this year between these two teams also went past regulation. So lots of draw flags are showing up for this game here. So Montreal plus 115, and also the draw for me in this one. And you can get the draw upwards of plus 320 here in this game. Alex, what do you think here? Habs, Flames.
Yeah, ditto for me. I got plus 117 with Habs. I got plus 315 with the draw. And like I said, not going to be too many times where we're going to look at Jakob Dobish against Dustin Wolf and go with Dobish. But like I said, Calgary off of a long road trip. I think it's going to be a tough spot for them as well. And like I said, the Habs, this is a team I think they can show some bounce back and some resiliency here and get a win. Like I said, played well in Calgary also. So it's a good price. It's rare that we get Montreal this good of a price. Like I said, in a spot where Calgary is a team that, who's laying a price with Calgary, especially when you looked at, how the offense until the Philly game, their offense was virtually non-existent. So yeah, give me the Habs and the draw.
Habs and the draw. All right, this is my favorite draw on the card, by the way. There's no draw I like more than this one. I think this one's a really good one.
This one's right up there with this one and Colorado, Toronto, right neck and neck. So
yeah, and again, East versus West. That's the common thread with both of these games where we've mentioned the draw is that no, you're not in the same playoff battle. So that it's not going to affect anything as far as you don't care that the other team's going to get a point. And
it's a standoff at the stairwell. You stand off and you just move past each other. No one shoots, and you just carry on with what you're doing. So
yeah, like that very well often used GIF that you see, obviously, or meme that you see on Twitter X. That exactly
Spider-Man.
Yeah, as far as props go for this game, there are a couple that are of interest here for me right now. You look at, obviously, Coronado, Gaudry, Huberdeau line's been very good. You can take your pick there. For Montreal, they got Brendan Gallagher in the lineup. That can't be. He's not. They just haven't updated it yet, but he's definitely not going to be playing. So it'll be interesting to see who slots in on that third line for them. But Caulfield, Suzuki, Slavkovsky, they've been absolutely red hot. They've been cooking with gas. And I think maybe a little Alex Newhook as well, as we've seen him kind of pick things up a little bit of late. Lane Hudson, they don't even have to say it. Lane Hudson's always a threat for cashing props, assist props, and point props especially. All right, next up, we've got the St. Louis Blues and the Los Angeles Kings. God, I'm sick of these two teams playing each other. This is the third time in like 2 weeks. Gosh almighty. What are we doing here with this fucking schedule? God. Geez, the third time since the Four Nations break, these teams are playing each other. And that was like 2 weeks ago. It's crazy. Space these things out, for crying out loud. My goodness. LA minus 200 home favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. Look, if you just put aside that St. Louis is rolling, and I'm not fading them at this price, this really does feel like a great, great, great slam dunk home run. Beautiful spot for Los Angeles. They've lost 2 now to St. Louis. They don't want to lose a third. They're at home. And by the way, LA has not lost many home games this year, as we know. Crypto.com Arena has been absolutely tremendous for them. Well, guess what? They just lost a home game to the St. Louis Blues on Wednesday in a shootout 3-2. St. Louis had to play last night and get a 4-3 win against Anaheim, and Jim Montgomery decided to roll with Jordan Binnington tonight, which means damn good chance we see Joel Hofer in between the pipes tonight for the Los Angeles Kings here or for the St. Louis Blues rather here in this game. Rest advantage for LA, chomping at the bit to beat out St. Louis now after 2 straight losses to them recently, including Wednesday. Kings have been off since that Wednesday loss. St. Louis had to play last night, so a big rest advantage. They've been sitting there. They've been able to, get some rest, get some practice in. It feels like LA's got to have this one, should win this game. I just can't get there at the price. I can't. Minus 200 against the way the Blues are playing right now. If you like the Kings, take their team total because they could light up Hofer. Hofer had a rough day against Dallas last time we saw him. The TNT game last Sunday, 6 goals and on not many shots. I don't think Dallas had many shots in that game because St. Louis was carrying the play, but Dallas had 6 goals on barely 20 shots in that game for the Dallas Stars. So, like I said, Hofer's kind of struggled a little bit. If you like LA, just take the team total instead of the money line. Don't mess around with that. It's just too expensive in my opinion. But I don't know. I can't do it at this price fading St. Louis, even though the spot is glorious on paper for the Los Angeles Kings. So I don't know what I'm doing on this game yet. Nothing as of yet. I'm waiting to see the goaltending confirmations here, especially for St. Louis. If it's Hofer, I'm definitely not betting St. Louis if it's Hofer. But I'm not taking LA at this price against a team that's playing like this, St. Louis, playing this good. And obviously, the Kings have had their issues with the Blues. Show me. you can get the job done. Alex, what do you think here in this one? St. Louis, Los Angeles.
I'm going with the first period over. That's been rolling hot with St. Louis right now. We
Oh,
cashed it
yeah, that's
last
right.
night.
Give me the first period over, too. I just remember 6 straight for St. Louis, 4
That's
straight
right.
for Los Angeles. Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Including two times this week against the Kings and like I said, last night against the Ducks. So that's been rolling smooth. But I also will add on a little bit smaller, both teams to score in the first period as well.
All right, there you go. A little bit on the both teams to score in the first period here as well for Alex with the Blues and the I forgot about. I was the one that mentioned it in our group chat too when I was doing my handicapping for this game. That it was 6 straight first period overs for St. Louis and 4 straight for LA after last night. So yeah, and Rangers get on the board 1-0 for the New York Rangers.
Cashed the ticket already. I had them score first.
Yeah. New York Rangers. There you go, 1-0 lead over the Ottawa Senators. So that's a good start. We're both on the Rangers. We're on a small over by Fecta in that game as well. We do need the score to pick up here in Philadelphia, though, a little bit. No score there yet in the opening period. 8 minutes to go in that opening period. All right, prop-wise, Holloway, Bull Duke, man. I did bet Bull Duke last night. I used him as the bargain bin Wednesday. He didn't score. I did bet him last night. He did score for the Blues, but Bull Duke is worth a look for them. That's something to keep in mind. Good prop look for on the Blues side of the equation, no doubt. Warren Fogle. I think it's a Warren Fogle night for LA. You know, he's been one of their better goal scorers since the Four Nations break. Maybe look toward the Fogue Daddy getting it done here tonight. I don't know how the hell he came up with that or who gave him that nickname, but it's pretty hilarious. Fogue Daddy for Warren Fogle. All right, next up, we've got the Chicago Blackhawks. Boy, it wouldn't be a Friday, Saturday in the NHL without the Blackhawks being scheduled for a back-to-back. It seems like they always get a weekend back-to-back more often than not. They are in Nashville, Music City, to take on the Nashville Predators. This minus 275 price for the Predators, 6.5 the total. Now, it is going to be Arvid, as in Soderblom, in net for the Nashville Predators here on the back-to-back, most likely, even though it hasn't been confirmed. But my goodness, man. And I know Chicago's on a back-to-back, and I know Nashville's won a couple in a row. Start the parade for the Nashville Predators. Stick that parade up your keister, you know, as far as I'm concerned. No parade at all. What did you beat the fucking Seattle Kraken, who've been dead, you know, the last few games? And who did you beat before that? Nashville. But they won 2 in a row. Not impressive, either one. So you got to show me a lot more than that. This Nashville team, like I said, seasons out. Maybe they're going to play. The one thing that I would be concerned about while I'm ragging on Nashville here, and they have won 2 in a row against Boston and Seattle, which again doesn't do much for me. But maybe now that the trade deadline's passed and they know they're not making the playoffs, they're just way too far behind. You know, maybe they're actually going to play loose, relaxed, and now they're actually going to play. And now they're going to go on this kind of a run and win some games now. Maybe. But I can damn sure tell you, at this freaking price, minus 275 with useless Onanen. That's right. Useless Onanen, Justus Onanen slated to start tonight for the Nashville Predators. Yes, it's a back-to-back. And, you know, I'm higher right now on Spencer Knight than Soderblom, but Soderblom's still capable. He's still played solid for this group. And I actually trust him more than Onanen as far as a goaltending matchup in this game. Even with Nashville winning 2 in a row, this being a back-to-back spot for the Chicago Blackhawks, it'd be criminal of me not to take a shot with Chicago, plus 225, and a little split with that team total, over 2.5 for Chicago at around even money, plus 100. Have to do it. This price is ludicrous. It's outrageous for Nashville to be laying this price to anybody. And I have to bet Chicago here, small. First, money line, team total over 2.5 split. Alex, what do you think here? Chicago, Nashville.
Now, there's a valid reason for this ridiculous price on Nashville because Nashville has dominated this series against the Blackhawks. But what we've noticed so far in the last couple of games with the Hawks is that this is a group that's trying to change the culture around. This is a different feel. Once Spencer Knight came in,
happy to still be there. Like, look at Donato. You know, he looked happy. He gets in a fight last night.
Right. Once Spencer Knight came in, but once Seth Jones came out, the vibes have been positive. Like I said, yeah, not only Donato get in the fight, but Donato just cheering and screaming when Maroon gets into the fight. That was a good sign. These guys look like they're playing loose and having fun. Like I said, they don't have to worry anymore about where they're moving around to now. The guys know where they're slated and where they're spotted. And the fact now with Arvid Soderblom in that, he's got to be thinking, okay, we got Spencer Knight here, but nothing's secure with me. We got the shipping box still ready for his ass if he starts playing like he did a couple years ago, because now we have a quality number one goalie. So he knows that he's hearing those footsteps. He knows he's got to play well. So this is a crazy price for Nashville, especially the way they've been playing. I don't think there's going to be any kind of security and settling with any of the guys that thought they were going to get traded. If anything, they're probably disappointed that they're still there in the Music City with this horrible franchise. So we're fading Trashville. We're back in the Hawks. Give me Chicago plus 225 on the money line.
Yeah, just there's a price play. And it's very important to point out, and that's a good point by someone in the chat here, that, Nashville has given up 3 goals or more in 15 of their last 17 games, which is exactly why that Chicago team total is appealing. Chicago's scoring right now. I've said this for a few games. Like, they're actually scoring goals right now. Mikheyev's on a heater. Teravainen's been great. Donato's been just ridiculous. And now Bedard finally gets the overtime winner. Watch him get rolling a little bit, get confidence, and the pucks start to go in for him a little bit. He gets that confidence. He's not gripping the stick nearly as much now.
Yeah,
no
I'll be adding that team total. I'll add that as well. I'm getting minus 105. That's a great price.
Yeah, against Mr. Onanen, who we know has not been very good either. So, that's a very good stat there as far as that is concerned. And like I said, all those guys I mentioned are worth a shot for goal props tonight, or any props of any kind. For the Chicago Blackhawks. For Nashville, obviously, like I said, keep an eye on the lineup. Looks like Stamkos, O'Reilly, Auto Parts, Luke Evangelista is your newly formed top line. Forsberg, Sissons, Marchessault on the second line. Jacob Vrana, Fedor Svechkov, Cole Smith, third line. Kiefer Bellows, Michael McCarron, Zachary Leroux, your fourth line. Evangelista's got some value if he's going to play on that top line. He's got 3 points in the last 2 games. So definitely he was the guy on Nashville that I perked up and said, maybe a prop with him is worth a look. Luke Evangelista here for Nashville, getting that shot for them here on the top line. All right, there you have it, Chicago, Nashville. Next up, New York Islanders and San Jose Sharks. This takes the cake as one of the ugly games of the card. Islanders minus 170, road favorites, 6 the total in this game. I didn't see any tears from the Islander players, but you got to imagine, though, Brock Nelson being gone, and this is the first game without him, hits everybody like a ton of bricks. That's a lifelong Islander before he got moved to the Colorado Avalanche. So kind of like what the angle you mentioned a bit with Ottawa against the New York Rangers, that maybe there's a little bit of an emotional hangover here in this game for the Islanders, seeing a guy like Brock Nelson out the door after all the service time he's had, obviously, with the New York Islanders. Anthony Duclair was healthy scratched. He's back in the lineup. I will take a prop with him, and it's against one of his former teams too, the San Jose Sharks. So Anthony Duclair, maybe a wake-up call.
One of his 15 former teams.
Yeah, exactly. Mr. Suitcase, the Duke, Anthony Duclair. I will sprinkle on the goal prop. That's about the only thing I want to do with the Islanders here in this game. I'd be more bullish on taking a shot with San Jose here at plus 150 if they weren't coming back from that just brutally long road trip, which they are, which has been a historically horrendous spot for them as well. Not to mention they traded away a bunch of guys, obviously, including Fabian Zetterlund. That was actually a nice get for the Ottawa Senators, getting him yesterday. Obviously, Eklund, Wenberg, Toffoli, Grunstrom, there's some value. He's on the second line suddenly with Macklin, Celebrini, and Will Smith. And you're not getting that guy priced anywhere close to what you're getting with Celebrini or Will Smith as far as goal props. So if Carl Grunstrom is on that second line and you can get plus 950 for him to score a goal, plus 580 for him to get a point, just plus 330 for him to get a point, or plus 580 to get an assist, 950 to get a goal, 330 to get a point, and he's up on the second line with Celebrini and Will Smith. So the shot with Grunstrom is worth it because he's totally mispriced for a player that's going to be on the second line with 2 of the best forwards on the team in Celebrini and Will Smith. Goaltending for this game, right now it looks like we're going to see Georgiev confirmed for San Jose, Ilya Sorokin in net here for the New York Islanders. These are two teams going nowhere, obviously, this year. We'll see how this one plays out. Probably I just by default would have to lean a little bit to the over, but I was hoping it wouldn't be 6.5. I was hoping it would fall more 5.5. I'm going to sprinkle on the draw. That's it. I could see this maybe being a draw game. Who's going to pull away from the other? That's what I ask you here in this game. So maybe the draw, the Islanders strike again here in this with a game that goes to overtime. And it is worth noting, by the way, head-to-head wise, that we have seen 4 of the last 9 head-to-head meetings between these two teams go past regulation. So that's probably what I'll do. Sprinkle on the draw here because I want nothing to do with the Islanders minus 170. I do lean to San Jose, but I ain't backing them coming off that long road trip. Alex, what do you think here, Islanders, Sharks?
Yeah, I'm going to be on the draw too, but I have a circle live, which means I have to watch this fucking game. I have a circle live on the New York Islanders because of the fact of San Jose. They've gone back to, like I said, this is a historic trend, fading San Jose off of the long road trip.
Yep.
Last 3 years, road trips of 6 games or more, they're 2-5 that first game back home. This year, 0-2. So this is a Sharks team that's struggling. There might be some time to grab Islanders. Like I said, we're looking for the draw. So if there's time to grab Islanders with a plus price next to them, I will be doing that. But heavier on the draw than anything else.
No doubt. All right, good stuff. All right, next up, it's our final game, and this is maybe the game of the night, game of the day. It's one of them, certainly. This is 1A, 1B, probably with Toronto and Colorado. We've got Dallas and Edmonton. We've got the Edmonton Oilers minus 115 home favorites. Total in this game sitting at 6.5, shaded to the over in this matchup. Now, with the big headline, of course, is obviously what Dallas did yesterday at the trade deadline. They make the huge home run move, trading for Mikko Rantanen, immediately making them, I think, forward-wise. Now, Colorado could make the case for it as well. But, boy, Dallas, in terms of balance through all 4 lines, now that they've added Mikko Rantanen, I mean, my goodness, scary. I mean, what they can do offensively on all 4 lines. And the fact that it's almost an afterthought that they parted with Logan Stankoven in that deal to the Carolina Hurricanes because they're just so loaded up front. They're so loaded up front. It's like, well, we lose Logan Stankoven, but we're still stacked. And Logan Stankoven's a hell of a player, and he's probably going to be a good player for Carolina. That's the best thing about what Carolina came out of with the deadline is getting Stankoven, no doubt. But like I said, Dallas, Robertson, Hintz, Rantanen, almost assuredly that's going to be their top line. That is just ridiculous, especially with the way Robertson and Hintz are playing right now. They're on fire. Marchment, Duchesne, Granlund, and wait till Tyler Seguin comes back from the injured list. Jamie Benn, Wyatt Johnston, Maverick Bourque. That's a third line. That's a third line, if you can believe it, for the Dallas Stars. Jamie Benn, Wyatt Johnston, Maverick Bourque. And Wyatt Johnston has been just on an absolute heater of late. Oscar Beck, Sam Steele, Evgeny Dodonov, your 4th line. Not bad. And Sam Steele, that's a good, hard-working line with a little offensive flash. Sam Steele's chipped in a few goals. Dodonov can score. Just loaded. Wait till they get Miro Heiskanen back. I mean, they've got everything. They got the goalie, Jake Ottinger. I've got them slightly ahead of Colorado in the Western pecking order right now. That's the way I have it. There's no slight on Colorado. It's just, I think at the end of the day, the goaltending for Dallas with Ottinger, I trusted a little more than Blackwood, who's never played in the playoffs before. But obviously, a team that is definitely in the mix to win the Stanley Cup. And boy, if we do see a Dallas-Colorado series, how good would it be? No doubt. And you know what's amazing about Dallas? They've been terrific since the break. They've been playing well. They didn't even play close to their A game against Calgary. That was like their C- game. They still won 3-2 in overtime in that game for their 4th straight win. They are 6-1 since the Four Nations break. The only loss was a road loss at Columbus. Meanwhile, Edmonton has been the opposite since the Four Nations break. They are just 2-5 since the break. The only 2 wins were at Carolina. They squeaked past Montreal in overtime, 3-2 on Thursday night. Now, the one thing I guess you could say that would concern you in these spots with a team like Dallas is they insert, one of the best scorers, one of the best offensive players in the league, and Rantanen expected to make his debut tonight. And maybe the chemistry's not there right away. It kind of throws off the rhythm just a little bit. Maybe it's going to take a game for the timing to be there with Jason Robertson, Rope Hintz, and Mikko Rantanen as a line. But the fact remains, right now, Edmonton, McDavid's not quite himself. Team defensively is lacking at the moment, although Jake Wallman is a nice add, and he'll likely make his Oilers debut here tonight on that blue line for them. It looks like he'll be paired with Ty Emberson, but they're still without Matthias Ekholm, most likely for this game. I don't think he's coming back tonight from all indications, and you're still struggling quite a bit back there. And even though Jake Wallman helps, is he going to be at his absolute best and in rhythm? Cohesion-wise with this blue line, you're with a new D partner. Sometimes that, dynamic takes a few games to iron itself out. So just based on the price, I have to bet Dallas here. They're playing too well. -105. Give me the Dallas Stars here to get the job done in the debut of Mikko Rantanen. And like I said, for goaltending, we don't have confirmations for Dallas, but we do expect Jake Ottinger. And it is confirmed for Edmonton. Once again, it'll be Stuart Skinner in net for them. And look, Skinner's had a rough go since the break too, but he actually did have a better game against Montreal. We got to give him credit for that. And we'll see if he can build on that performance here tonight, albeit against a much, much more dynamic offensive hockey team in the Dallas Stars. Alex, what do you think here? Arguably the game of the day, game of the night. Dallas Stars, Edmonton Oilers. Western Conference final rematch as well.
Yeah, and I'm sure both teams hoping that it's a rematch again this year. Later on, but I like Dallas in the spot. I grabbed him yesterday. I got +107. I thought that was a crazy price just off of, this is one of those games and one of those times where this is a move. Like I said, it's not like you're bringing in a ton of different people. It's one player, but this is where he's a guy who I think he'll fit in. Now that he knows this is where he's going to be, not just for the rest of this year, but the next 8 years, this should be where, okay, now we have what we need. There should be an energy and a buzz in this room. Like, this is the start of the beginning of the Stanley Cup for them. That's how they should feel. If they don't say that out loud, okay, that's fine. But that should be the energy and the mentality for everybody in that Stars locker room starting tonight. This is the beginning of how you get to the finish line. So I'm on Dallas. Like I said, grabbed them at a plus price. I still like them -$1.05. And like I said, Edmonton, they've just been kind of up and down. They should bring the energy tonight, knowing how loaded this Dallas team is now. Like I said, they should be treating this like it's a Western Conference Finals preview. I don't know if that's going to be enough. I think Dallas might overwhelm them. Also, look for a Dallas team total as well.
Great stats by Jonathan. The way he looks at, it's funny. Until we met Jonathan Davis, and have him in now in the fold. I never handicap player props that way. I never thought to do that. And it's now that I look at it, like seeing how a player does against a specific goalie. Like, all I really look at is where they are in the lineup, what current form they have right now as far as scoring. But I never did go in and look at,
we used to look against a specific team, but to look at a goalie to go a little bit deeper, it makes sense.
It does. And as he points out, Hintz 5 goals in 5 games against Skinner. And Matt Duchene as well with 3 goals in 2 games against Stu Skinner. So definitely a couple of guys that have really done well scoring and finding the back of the net against Stuart Skinner. Prop-wise for me, I don't think it's a later game, so I didn't really attack the prop board as much as some of the earlier games. But what I would say is, Hintz, Robertson. I would even string together Robertson, Hintz, Harley, point parlay. Keep it simple. Those 3 guys in particular: Hintz, Robertson, Harley, and Thomas Harley. I'm going to bet it again. Now, he was finally quiet the other night against Calgary, but like I said, the whole team was just a little off kilter. This is a game that's going to get their attention. Edmonton knocked them out in the Western Conference Final last year, so you're going to get Thomas Harley, and I think all their top players playing, but attentive, at their best, on their toes. Harley over 1.5 points has been great for me more often than not. We're coming back to that well tonight. Goal prop, assist prop with Harley as well. It's been excellent, filling the shoes the best he can of Miro Heiskanen, which is not easy to do. And like I said, Robertson, Hintz points. Granlund, a little value with Duchene and Marchment. Duchene's been great. And Wyatt Johnston in some form, because he's been just absolutely smoking lately for the Dallas Stars after a bit of a slow start to the season. And then for Edmonton, as far as maybe Corey Perry, I've noticed him percolate a little bit offensively at times since the break. Maybe you go in that direction with him going into this game tonight, possibly. That's something to, maybe Matthias Janmark, a former Dallas Star, if you buy into that, right? Matthias Janmark used to play for the Dallas Stars. I actually think he scored some goals against them in the playoff series last year, if I'm not mistaken, as well, in that West Final. Matthias Janmark actually played quite well. So maybe a little Matty Janmark here for Edmonton against Dallas, team he used to play for. So there's a couple props for me there. Shout out to everyone in the chat. 512 live viewers. Awesome stuff. Hit the like button.
Thank you.
We appreciate it very much. You guys joining us here for this edition of the Ice Guys show on this busy Saturday. Make sure you hit the like button on the way out. And, of course, make sure, and that's right, Corey Perry as well, former team Angle. You're right. I keep forgetting Dallas was one of his teams as well for a brief period of time. There's another guy that's been with a lot of teams. All right. Make sure you sign up, patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, our daily Ice Guys show betting card, sides, totals, player props posted each and every day. Today we'll post it a little bit earlier because there's still one more afternoon game to go. Boston, Tampa. We'll get it up before that game begins. And of course, also our live exclusive content on the Patreon page. You have access to that, including our Ice Guys exclusive Patreon live betcasts, including the next one, which comes your way Tuesday, March 25th at 7 p.m. Eastern time. And the only way to tune into that betcast and or join us on the stream is to sign up at patreon.com/Ice Guys. Your $10 per month subscription goes a long way to supporting the show. So make sure you get on board. It's the right time of year. You know, college basketball is winding down. It's the home stretch of the NHL regular season. We're going to have a ton of betcasts the rest of the regular season and the Stanley Cup playoffs once we get into April. A lot of them, the majority of them, I will say right now, will be Patreon exclusive. So don't you dare miss out. Patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 per month.
Yes, goalie charts also will be updated in just about a couple hours after we get some things finalized with that. But also check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. You've got 4 days left to save 15% off on all orders. Just go to the homepage, click on the redeem button, add all your items to your cart. 15% will be available at checkout. We've got just about everything back in stock into some sizes that we're still kind of out with some of the hoodies. But we've got all kind of the new designs that are all in there as well. So check it out. 15% off. 4 days left. That's at iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Yeah, there you go. Make sure you take advantage of that 15% offer of all gear and merch at the Ice Guys store while you can. No doubt about it. Great stuff. All right, we got Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guys sponsors.
Support for the Ice Guys podcast is provided by Boston Hemp Incorporated, Tailgaters Social, and a big thank you to all that subscribe to the Ice Guys Patreon page. Everyone loves a perfect pair. Bacon and eggs. Thunder and lightning. Mario and Luigi. A hot dog with fries. Ian and Alex B. That's right. Everyone loves a perfect pair. So why not pair up your game nights with Boston Hemp? From exotic flower to concentrates and edible products. You'd be hard-pressed to find a better pairing than Boston Hemp and hockey. Check them out today at bostonhempinc.com. That's bostonhempinc.com. Boston Hemp Incorporated, the official smoke sponsor of the Ice Guys. Void where prohibited by law. Not available outside of the United States. Must be 21 or over to obtain products. Check your local regulations to see if Boston Hemp is available in your area.
Shout out to all our great sponsors, including Boston Hemp Inc. Get 20% off all orders on the website using the promo code Ice Guys at bostonhempinc.com. All right, bargain bin special of the night. Big slate to choose from. Alex, bargain bin special for this big time Saturday. What do you got?
So we're heading to Music City, Chicago taking on Nashville, and there's one player who hasn't really been as noticeable of late, but he's at a good price, and I think he can get in the groove tonight. Tyler Bertuzzi. I like him anytime goal scorer. I've seen him plus 360 at DraftKings, plus 320 available at FanDuel, so widely available for the bargain bin tonight. Let's go with Tyler Bertuzzi, anytime goal scorer for the Chicago Blackhawks. That's my Saturday bargain bin special.
There he is, Tyler Bertuzzi. You know, it's about time he gets in on the fun. You know, this is a Chicago team that's been obviously scoring goals lately. We'll see if Tyler Bertuzzi can get going offensively tonight. Alex going with Tyler Bertuzzi here for bargain bin special of the night for this Saturday NHL slate. My bargain bin special of the night, I'm going to go with two. I'm going to give you a daytime bargain bin special and a nighttime bargain bin special. The day game, I'm going to go to Tampa, and I'm going to go to Oliver Bjorkstrand. Scored in his Tampa debut against the Buffalo Sabres. And, yeah, that's the Buffalo defense. I get it. But this current iteration of the Boston Bruins defense, the gap is not as wide with the Buffalo defense as it used to be. There's going to be opportunities for this Lightning team to score and score often. And you get a good price, plus 375 with Oliver Bjorkstrand. To find the back of the net for the Tampa Bay Lightning. That's my first bargain bin special of the night. My second bargain bin special of the night is going to come from the Leafs and the Avs game. And even though I like Toronto in the game, I'm going with someone from Colorado for bargain bin special. Heating up on that second line for the Colorado Avalanche right now. And he does play on the power play. Expected to be with Brock Nelson, the new addition to the Avs, and Big Val Nichushkin tonight. He's got goals in 2 of the last 3 games. Jonathan Drouin for the Colorado Avalanche, plus 365. So there you go. 2 bargain bin specials. Oliver Bjorkstrand, plus 375 for Tampa Bay. Jonathan Drouin, plus 365 for Colorado for my 2 bargain bin specials of the night. And Thomas Harley was on the list too, but decided to go with just 2 for bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets for this Saturday. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Well, one team has cashed 6 first period overs in a row. Another team has cashed 4 first period overs in a row. We're going to go with St. Louis, LA, first period over, 1.5. You can get that minus $1.05 at BetMGM. That is my Saturday best bet. Kings Blues, first period over.
All right, there we go. First period over, as Alex's image froze, but we heard him perfectly. St. Louis, Los Angeles, over 1.5 in the first period at around minus, actually pretty much even money, plus 100. So great price with that for Alex B. Smith. Blues Kings first period over 1.5 for his best bet. My best bet here for this Saturday slate, there's a couple of sides that I'm going with a side here instead of total for tonight. But I think I've settled on. I'm going to go with Dallas. I like Dallas here. It was that or Montreal. I like Montreal a lot too, but I'm going to go Dallas officially for my best bet. Dallas Stars minus 105. Actually, you can still get plus 100 at a couple books, but mostly minus 105 out there. They didn't even play that great against Calgary, and I think they know it, and I think they're going to want to play better, quite honestly. And you don't have to ask Dallas to be fired up. This is the team that knocked them out in the Western Conference Final last year. Mikko Rantanen makes his Dallas debut. I'm not convinced Edmonton, everything's fine just because they squeaked past Montreal in overtime the other night. They're still banged up on the blue line, including Ekholm, who's their big piece on that blue line. I think Dallas gets the job done here on the road. Dallas, plus 100, minus 105 in that range for my best bet here for this Saturday NHL card. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Hit the like button. We appreciate it very much, and looking forward to a big-time Saturday NHL slate. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Saturday. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back with you tomorrow on Sunday, noon Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.